Hello and welcome to the Fan Frenzy podcast. I'm your host, Chris Borgia, alongside co-host Ben
And
Lotman, co-host Gabe Layden, and co-host Jake Holzhauer. Today we got a long one and we got a very interesting and deep one, but some quick news real quick. Last time we left on a little cutoff. Bronny officially got drafted to the Lakers. I thought it would have been pretty funny for the Sixers to take him, but it's whatever. It happens, you
I really
know.
wish the Celtics took him the pick before. I think that would have
I'm
been
so
so
glad
funny.
they didn't. I'm so glad they didn't. Some other news. The Flyers decided to draft Jet Luchenko over Zeev, which was something. I was working. I expected them to take a defenseman. They come in, they take this kid, and I think part of the reason was because Zeev, if you don't know, I know Gabe and Jake are a bit newer to the hockey side of things. Zeev's agent is also the same agent as Cutter Gauthier, the guy who basically decided to, you know, act the way he did towards Philadelphia, we'll say. No, he's not very liked around here, so I can't wait to watch Anaheim play the Flyers. Some other news too. John Cena is retiring from the WWE. I know it's not something we always talk about, but it's big enough
Dang.
news to me. And
You
I
just
know
took my
Jake's
fan
hurt.
Lindsay, you took my player of the week, dude.
Well, you could talk
um,
about him more
I'm gonna
later.
have to.
The last thing, right before we started this show up, I said I plan on watching the 76ers Summer League game tonight against OKC. And Gabe was like, really? Is there guys you really like on there or something? And yeah, there is. I realized on a Sixers post at work yesterday that we signed David Jones to a two-way contract. And I'm sitting here like, no shot. And Gabe, I know you and Ben both know who David Jones is. I don't know,
Yeah,
Jake, do you
talked.
know who that is?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so he's a forward who went to Memphis. Dude, this guy is an animal. He was disgusting against Temple. One of my favorite sports picture that I've taken for photography is literally of David Jones. So I'm like super excited to see him tonight, and I'm super excited to see Justin Edwards. Want to throw it out there? I saw that people were telling me that Bronny deserved to get drafted over Justin Edwards, which is really funny to me. I thought that
Yeah,
was hilarious.
I think Justin Edwards is going to cook in summer league. I'm not going to lie.
I hope he goes crazy. But
Can I just
moving off
say,
of that, yes.
watching the summer league rosters be unveiled is like one of the funniest things ever. Because I mean, I don't know if anybody has an idea of like who's gonna be picked or if there's like some sort of like
Mm-hmm.
projections, but I have no idea who's gonna like get picked up. So like I went to see the Nets summer league roster. We picked up this guy Mark Armstrong, which you guys might know from Villanova. He went to
No,
a
don't recall.
he went to Nova. He was like a bench, or he wasn't a bench player, but like he was second string point guard for like a couple years. He played at St. Peter's Prep, which is in my city. I almost went there, and he like wasn't good. Like
That's
he
kind of
was
funny.
freakishly athletic, but he scored maybe like 15 points a game or something like that. Like my friend told me he outscored him when they played each other in high school, and I'm like,
That's kind of
what
funny.
is going on? Why is he in? I mean, not quite the NBA, but like also kind of the NBA. So
Yeah.
I just think it's hysterical to watch these rosters just play and everything because you have no idea who half these guys are, and then the other half you're like,
Mm-hmm.
how did they even get here?
Yeah,
Like I don't know if you guys
exactly.
remember LiAngelo Ball last year
Uh-huh.
or 2 years
Oh,
ago.
I remember LiAngelo
Yeah.
Ball. Trust me.
Uh-huh.
Moving on though, our first segment we're going to touch base on some NBA free agency because you know the NBA is the best when it comes to having players go to new places. It's always the most fun thing, especially towards me. I love it. Segment two we're going to touch base on our player of the week, and then segment three is going to be probably or hopefully the longest segment since we really haven't been able to do an MLB show. Talk a lot about baseball for a little while. Um, I'll start us off though. I want to start with a signing that I thought was kind of funny in my eyes, and I know Ben's gonna be like, "Why would you start with this out of anything?" But I want to. Detroit, Detroit, Detroit. You make me sick to my stomach. You literally. I'm so glad you didn't get that first overall pick just because of the moves you want to make. You make the dumbest moves year in year out, and you decided, oh, after everything he's done, talking to the agent. I think everybody knows who I'm referring to here. Talking to an agent who gets even the worst players a lot of money, you still have the audacity to sign Tobias Harris to a 2-year contract worth $26 million a year. Are you serious right now? I get it that you have money, but $26 million to this dude after everything he's done in Philadelphia, even as a third option, bro. He couldn't get 15 points or 16 points a game as a third option. Do you know how sad that is? And you're paying him all that money? This is wild to me. What are we thinking here, fellas?
I'm not surprised he got the money. I'm more surprised that it was a 2-year deal because Detroit had to reach the cap floor, right? So they had to dish out the money somewhere. And Tobias Harris, the idea of him is that he's going to fit alongside their center core. They have a lot of depth there, but the power forward position, they don't really have a lot of depth. So, I think Detroit is semi trying to compete. I don't think they're trying to be trash because they signed Cade Cunningham to a 5-year extension, and you sign a guy like Malik Beasley. That shows me that you're trying to win. He's probably going to be traded at the deadline because I don't think Detroit is going to win.
More than likely. Would not be shocked. It's only a 1-year deal, right, with Beasley?
Yeah. 1-year
I was
deal.
a little confused that I didn't see. I mean, maybe I missed it, but I didn't really feel like I saw any teams going after Cade. And I mean, like, obviously they signed to extension, right? He wasn't he wasn't really out there. But
Cade Cunningham's not a bad player at all. He just never had the teammates around him to show off his talent.
It's just when you're in Detroit, I mean, there's only so much you can do, and they know they're not going to win a championship, with a couple more signings, especially if you're signing Tobias Harris. But it's like, why aren't more teams making moves for Cade Cunningham? Is there something we don't know? Like, do they think he's not a great leader or something? Like, I don't understand that.
I don't know. I just don't think people see him as a true alpha because in the NBA, if you're a true alpha, like your team isn't going to be as bad as Detroit has been, right? Like a great player can carry you to at least being on the edge of playoff contention, which Detroit has just never been. And you look at it, Detroit has some players. Like their center depth is really good. Jalen Duren, we all like him very much. They have some other guys on their roster, but I think you look at it, Detroit's just missing forward depth, which is the most important role in the NBA, obviously. So they just don't have any wings at all. There's just no wings. Malik Beasley is going to add to that role. Tobias Harris is going to add to that role. Tim Hardaway, he could add to that role, but that was just.
I don't even know why you bring him in.
That was just they were just picking. That wasn't they weren't bringing him in. That was just a salary dump. They got some picks to bring him in.
It was a great move for the Mavs too, because the Mavs brought in Quinn Grimes from that trade, which Quinn Grimes I think has a bunch of potential to be a great.
So glad that kid is out of New York.
That was just a salary eating trade. They just picked up I think a few seconds to eat a salary or something like that. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised they haven't bought him out, but they'll probably buy him out during the season.
I don't absolutely hate the fact that the Pistons brought in Tobias Harris, only because it's like a young, because you saw last year was a horrible season, but it's a young, unexperienced roster bringing in a veteran that can try to help these guys get to their potential. So I don't hate the move, but it's not an amazing move either.
Yeah, and I think
I agree. I understand it.
Yeah, and I can't speak for you guys, Ben and Chris, but like, I think part of the frustration with Tobias Harris was like, yeah, he didn't play that well, but he was also on a massive contract, which didn't help. I mean, now he lets his contract nearly in half with this one, and this is even a big deal for him. So
yes, but I still wouldn't pay him $26 million. Like,
right.
I'll give you 11. Call it a day.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know. Yeah, for 26.
And Detroit, I guess you could say they had a good draft, right? Like, do we all think they had a good
it's all right.
A good draft?
All right. Ron Holland's a player that I'm not like the biggest on, but I gotta wait and see before.
The good thing with signing Tobias is you don't have to start Ron Holland right away. Like, will they? Maybe, but you don't.
Moving on, no. There's been a lot of other signings that I want to touch base on, and I like a lot of these signings. But one that I specifically want to go to next is the KCP signing. I think it's a perfect signing for the Orlando Magic. You sign him on a good deal. He's a mentor. He can shoot. He's a great defender. What much more can you ask in a player? I mean, he's gonna slide perfectly in. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong. The starting point guard was Cole Anthony last year.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll just say Cole Anthony, right? We'll just say it's him. Then you'll have KCP slide in that mentorship role while also still being really good in terms of like shooting and stuff, right? And then you'll have Franz Wagner, Paolo, and Wendell Carter Jr. So like I think the
Yeah, and you
lineup's
have-
like really good.
Yeah. And you got Jalen Suggs who could push himself to be a starter. I think I really like Jalen Suggs towards the end of the last season. He was playing really well.
Well, he
Um,
averaged. I
He
think
didn't find himself when he first got drafted, but then he started to like pick it up and started becoming a good player, which is what I like on him.
The
he became
real
a big
question
piece
mark,
during the playoffs too. He averaged
Yeah.
33 minutes a game. So I mean, he's becoming a massive part of that team too.
Oh yeah.
I also think
big-
KCP is going to be better than Clay. So I think they did better on that end too, and probably a lot less expensive.
the big
He's
thing
going to be a
that's been
better
going on-
defender. He'll be a better defender, I'll tell you that.
I think he'll be better all around. Honestly, he'll be on the court more. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, probably.
I think the Magic have had a good offseason too, just re-signing their core of players too. They brought back Jonathan Isaac, Franz Wagner. They gave that huge 5-year extension, and then they brought back Mo Wagner too.
The Mo Wagner and Franz Wagner deals are fine. I like both of them. I don't know how I feel about the Jonathan Isaac deal though.
He's been
He's
there
not
forever,
bad,
though.
but I haven't seen enough of him.
Yeah, he's been hurt, but like when he's on the court, he's one of the best defensive players in the entire league.
I don't disagree with you at all. I once he got drafted, I was very high on him. I don't know. I just want to see him be on the floor more. He's one of those guys where it's like, you like the player, you know that they could do good. You just have to see them on the floor more. Like Lonzo Ball, for example, is exactly how I see it. I get it, two different positions, but just to clarify the point. Any
You get a lot of
other?
upside with him though. I feel like he's like 7 feet tall. He can
Yeah.
do a little bit of everything. I feel like, yeah, he's had some
He's-
massive injury troubles, but you're paying him 15 mil a year. That's not a lot in the NBA right now. So I feel like that's not a bad deal.
That's-
And you also have
that's-
Franz Wagner, who's been excellent. So like, if Jonathan Isaac doesn't work out, you
Yeah.
have your main guys in Boncaro and Wagner. I think
Yeah,
that can carry you pretty far.
I did not get like all the hate on the Franz Wagner extension. Like, yes, he struggled in the playoffs, but it was their first time in the playoffs. You know he's going to be a stud.
He's young.
Yeah,
He's real young.
and
he's real
and he
good.
doesn't even need to be your best player. You got Paulo, who's going to be a top 10 player in the league by the end
I
of
love
next season.
having them too. If I'm Orlando, I love having both of them as my wings.
Exactly.
Easily. They're perfect
I
together.
think having two elite wings is just something that most NBA teams don't have.
Agreed.
And it's just a great way to build a roster, in my opinion.
Real quick,
I
I just
agree.
looked it up. Guess how old Jonathan Isaac is? Just guess.
20.
I know he's like 27 or something like that.
I was gonna
right?
say
29.
28.
Gabe's the
29.
closest. He's 26, which is crazy to me because I feel like he's been in the league forever.
He's played like 2 NBA games over
I
that
know.
entire span. Too.
Any last thoughts on the Magic and KCP?
I mean, I think I didn't get a great say on my opinion on it. Yeah, he's just going to fit really well. Orlando's definitely going to be a top 5 seed in the East, I would say, unless,
Fair.
injuries, whatever. But they're definitely a team on the rise, so definitely
Fair.
a team to look out for.
Fair. Next person I wanted to touch base on. This one was a little bit more interesting. So we all saw the news of CP3 getting waived. But did we think he was going to go to the Spurs was the question.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, I actually really like the signing because he's going to be that is the perfect mentor for Stefan Castle. I think like, we're talking about a top 5 point guard of all time, and he's going to mentor you just on a 1-year deal, and he'll probably call it quits after that. He'll retire. Unfortunate that we didn't get to see him win a ring, but like this is a perfect signing here.
I think you look at a guy in Chris Paul, you sign him to a 1-year deal, it gives you a lot of flexibility. Number one, he's going to train your young players, as you talked about. But number two, you could trade, if he's having like a solid season, which I think he's going to put up good numbers, he's probably going to have a ton of assists because he's playing with a Victor. Like, you're going to get a ton of assists as a point guard playing with a Victor. Maybe you can trade him at the trade deadline, get some assets, trade him to a contender. That's always possible. Or you keep him all season. Let him continue to develop your young point guards because, again, you just took Castle in the draft. Obviously, they didn't know if they were going to land him, but you knew they were going to draft a point guard at some point. That was their main position of need. And I think Chris Paul can still give you good minutes outside of his mentorship. Like, he was obviously getting paid a ton of money last season, but there was points in the season where he was playing good basketball. I just don't think you can count on him throughout a whole season to stay healthy. It's not going to happen, but I don't think the Spurs really care about that. It's not like they're trying to compete next season. So I think it's a really shrewd signing for the Spurs.
I think it's okay. I'm on the other side of that where I think we've seen over the past couple of seasons that he's just regressed massively, and he's obviously not that same Clippers Lob City point guard.
Yes, but he's not there to win. He's just there to be like a mentor, pretty much.
Right, which is why I think he should. I mean, this might sound a little crazy, but I think he should take more of a Udonis Haslem role, where he's just not playing. Like I think.
I don't think he's that bad, though. I don't think he's
not that bad. He has the experience, but he's literally been called a traffic cone on defense, and that was like 2 seasons ago. Right
but
now,
see,
he's like 2 years older. He's much worse.
Yeah, but with Victor, you can get away with him being bad on defense. That's the thing.
Maybe, but only so much, I think. I think Chris Paul is a great mentor. I think he has potential to be a great head coach one day. I just don't think that – I think his playing days are, for the most part, over. I don't disagree that he should get some time on the court, just not a whole lot of it. I think he's going to get exposed.
My thing is, though, when you're teaching someone to get better, especially like the younger players, I think it's best to show them in-game what it's like. Yeah, that's why I think he's going to get the minutes that he's getting.
If anything, I think adding Harrison Barnes is an even bigger move because that's just a perfect fit alongside, Victor, right? Like Harrison Barnes, you don't think of him as like as an elite wing. He's obviously not an elite wing, but he's been probably
back in Golden State.
He's probably been like the 15th best wing in the league his entire career, which is
not when he was in Golden State.
I mean, when he was in Golden State, he had the best. He had
the best point guard of all time in Golden State.
Yeah, he had the best point guard of all time. He probably had the best shooting backcourt of all time. So.
You know what though? You bring up a really good point there, Ben. Because he was a part of a trade, right?
Yes.
Yes, and do you know who was on the other side of that trade?
Oh,
DeMar DeRozan to the Kings. What a fit.
What a
fit. You get to be a third option on a team where you get to slide in perfectly. He is a perfect fit for that team.
I don't know if I agree with that necessarily.
Yeah.
How do you not agree with it?
Because there's no shooting. There's no 3-point shooting on that team. Like,
De'Aaron Fox can shoot from 3.
He can.
Malik
Monk. He hasn't.
Malik Monk's a 3-point shooter too. Yeah. Good point, Jake.
Malik Monk is probably going to come off. We'll see. He came off the bench last year, so we'll see. But you look at it, and he had stretches where he just was not a good 3-point shooter. And in my opinion, he hasn't proven to me that he can be even a league average 3-point shooter.
Who are you referring to? De'Aaron Fox still or DeMar?
Yeah. No, De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox. Okay.
DeMar just doesn't shoot threes. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And can you win with a guy like that? I think you can, but pairing him.
DeMar is a third option on this team, bro. Is the big deal here?
Like, De'Aaron Fox is a career 32% 3-point shooter. So you look at that. Can he improve? Yes, but that's what he's shown me and the rest of the people that are watching them. So that's going to be a real question. Can they shoot the 3 ball? If they can, I think it works out. But honestly, I'm just a big. I wouldn't call myself a DeMar hater. I just don't think his game is a winning.
See, but they got
completely agree.
They got Keegan Murray too, though. He could shoot the 3.
Yeah,
there was one game where he had 7 or 8 threes too.
If the Kings are gonna do really good, you're gonna need Malik Monk or a Kevin Huerter because they're giving Kevin Huerter $15 million a year. They're gonna need him to step up to shoot the
Yo,
threes.
he can shoot threes too, though. That's a perfect.
Yeah, but not like consistently.
Not
that.
consistently, but bro, if he could find himself, right, your lineup is now De'Aaron Fox, Herter, DeMar, Keegan, and Sabonis, and I really like that lineup.
Don't get me wrong. I think the Kings are gonna, either be a playing team because the West is stacked, by the way. So let's just say that they're either gonna be a playing team or like an 8 or 7. Well, 8 and 7 seeds are playing. They're gonna be in the play-in more than likely. I don't think they're gonna be
Do
a
you
top
see them
16 in the
finishing
West.
over the Lakers next season?
Honestly,
Right now,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I would agree. Right now, yes.
Right now, yes. I think the Lakers are gonna do something. They always do. There's we'll see. I like the Lakers like depth wise, but it's just hard for me to say that LeBron is going to keep up his elite level of play, right? And I'm a huge LeBron guy, but he's 40 years old. At some point, you're going to see some drop off. LeBron was an elite player last season. He was a top 10 player in the league last season. Are we going to see that again? I don't know if I can project that, to be honest with you. So
Fair.
Real quick, going back to DeMar for a second, just want to say I completely agree with what Ben said, and I think part of it could be just due to the fact that mid-ranges just aren't that effective as they used to be. It's a league that consists so much of three-point shooting, and that's why we've seen, a lot of losses in San Antonio, a lot of losses in Chicago. They haven't done well with him. Toronto was a very good team, but we saw the second he got replaced, they won a title. I just don't think that. I think he's a good player. I just don't think he brings winning to a team just because mid-ranges aren't that valuable, and he's going to have to really develop his three-point game, even though he's in the latter stages of his career. And I just don't think it's going to happen.
Well,
I think
he
he's a
straight
good
up
player.
refuses to shoot threes. He just doesn't shoot them.
I mean, we got to see something from him then. He's got to.
We'll just have to see, man. It seems like once the season starts, me and Jake are rooting for DeMar, and you two are going to root on his downfall, and we'll see who wins that.
I'm not rooting for
I'm
his
not rooting
downfall.
on
I
his
just don't like his
downfall.
playing style.
We'll see
Maybe a
who
little bit
wins
just to
on
prove him
that.
right.
All right, we'll see who wins on that
Yeah.
one, though. Moving on to the next person, because I got on my list, I got 4 people left that I wanted to touch base on. Hartenstein leaving the Knicks. Thank you.
Sucks.
Thank you for leaving New York and taking up a nice deal with
And
OKC.
it's all because the Knicks couldn't afford his minimum to pay him.
Well, it's because you
this season.
decided to pay OG
Yeah.
all that money.
But the Hartenstein
mean,
wanted to come back to the Knicks. He said he wanted to come back to the Knicks, but the Thunder just gave him more money, and you can't be mad at that.
And he's going to a contender, and he's a really nice fit there. We're talking about a guy that is the perfect backup center in the league. He could easily be a starter too, and he's the perfect backup.
This OKC team is going to be absolutely disgusting next season.
100%.
You have guys like you found Aaron Wiggins out of nowhere, signed him to a 5-year deal. Like
Isaiah Joe too is back.
Alex Caruso is a perfect role player on a championship team.
Agreed.
Isaiah Hartenstein is a great backup center.
This is one of the better
OKC
teams I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, OKC is crazy, and they still have like 20 first-round picks or something insane. So
listen,
if there's a hole in the team, they'll just trade 3 first-round picks.
I'm gonna say something here. I'm gonna say something here, and I want to be held accountable for this. I want none of you guys to forget this. If OKC wins a championship this next season, I will buy a Jalen Williams jersey.
Which one?
The starter, J-Dub, because that's my guy. And I'm not kidding. I will buy a J-Dub jersey. As long as they don't beat the Sixers, because if the Sixers are there, I'm never getting a Thunder jersey.
I hate to break it to you, but I don't think the Sixers are making the finals.
We'll get to that.
I'll just say, though, right now. I like this signing. I think this is the perfect signing for OKC, but it was another one of the moves that I kind of was thrown off by. I think off the court stuff on the side for a second, I don't really understand the Giddey for Caruso trade. I don't see an upside with Caruso that you don't get with Giddey. I think maybe he's a better shooter and a much better defender, but I think on a young team, you want to develop everybody there. I don't see why you don't keep Giddey there unless he's really causing problems for your PR and whatever.
Here's what I think. I think that OKC just straight up really loves Aaron Wiggins. And Aaron Wiggins and Josh Giddey have very similar roles. and they just needed better defense and 3-point shooting. And while Giddey is a great passer, he's a great, floor general, his 3-point shooting has been questionable, and his defense is just not that good. I just think I think it's a win-win trade, right? I think if you're the Bulls, you get a better player in general. But if you're OKC, you get a player that better fits what you need. So I understand like why you wouldn't want to trade Josh Giddey, but I feel like just in terms of need, I think OKC is at the point where they just have so much talent on their roster that you got to find guys that fit more than just, you'll have to give away you'll have to overpay, but
Right.
Yeah. Going off of what Ben said, I think OKC is now in a position still with all the picks that they have and with how young of a team is. Now's the time to start selling those kind of like, because Giddey still has a potential in the league that he hasn't hit yet, but this is the time for them to start selling like those potential like big name players and shipping them off to get players that you want and older players that can help you win.
Yeah,
That's
that makes
interesting.
sense.
That's interesting. Do we have any last thoughts on Hartenstein? Like I said, I really like the signing.
yeah,
I
I
think it
mean,
makes sense too.
I was kind of surprised. I can't say I'm surprised he got that much money, but realistically, like that's a lot of money to pay a guy that's only had one good season. Like,
It is.
let's be honest, he didn't
See,
do anything before last season, but last season he was amazing. So
I don't know because he was good on the Clippers.
he was okay on the Clippers, but it was a
Last
very
year was
small
by
sample
far his best
size.
season.
Very small sample size. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I think it made sense. I think you had to pay that much money. So
Yeah. I just
Okay.
wish he stayed on the Knicks. In a perfect world, he would still be there.
All right. I'm down to 3 names left for free agency that I want to touch base on, and then I want to touch base on something else before we move on to the second segment. So moving on, we got DeJounte Murray, who was traded for 2 first-round picks out of Atlanta to New Orleans. Congrats,
mean-
New Orleans, because this is a perfect fit.
yeah,
It's a
I
perfect
mean,
fit.
I just don't. This trade to me for New Orleans makes perfect sense. For Atlanta, I get why you're trading him, but there's no way there was not better offers. I refuse to believe that there was not a better offer. And also for Atlanta, why is Trae Young still on your team? Like that's my question. If you're going to trade DeJounte Murray, I get the fit was kind of the issue, but if you're going to trade DeJounte Murray for almost nothing, why are you not trading Trae Young to San Antonio right
I
now?
think in that situation, they had to choose either to keep Trae Young and go with him still, or keep DeJounte Murray and go with DeJounte Murray. And I think they chose Trae Young.
I get that, but
That's
I
what I
just
think
don't.
happened too.
Why didn't they get more win now assets in that case? I just don't get the
Yeah,
trade
I
at
don't
all.
see what they're building there, and I see what you're saying.
I've honestly
And
never
Trae Young
really
is
understood.
so underrated, I feel like. And
I
I mean, with the right team around him, we see where he can go. And that wasn't even that great of a team. He had like John
I
Collins was
didn't
the second
even
best
like
player on the team,
the.
right? And that made the Western Conference Finals or Eastern
Yeah.
Conference Finals.
Well, he went
So,
up against Doc Rivers as head coach, so that gives you a little bit of an advantage.
well, yeah, I guess that, yeah, I guess that helps you out a
I
little
didn't
bit.
even
But
like
Trae Young on the
their
right
pick.
team is so good.
I didn't even like Reese Share as the pick. They took
Yeah.
him. I wasn't even a fan of that.
Yeah, they kind of had to though.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, they could have picked Alex Sarr, but Alex Sarr like very much was indirectly saying, "I don't want to play for you guys."
Yeah.
And also, they didn't need a big. Like, if they took a big, cool, but you have Clint Capella, you have what's their backup big?
Onyeka Okongwu.
Yeah, Okongwu, who I really like. I just always forget his name for some reason.
Chino Hill's legend.
Yeah, Chino Hills legend. Hey, shout out to Chino Hills.
Oh.
Triple B. But
Yeah,
no.
it's interesting. No, I like the fit. So does this mean that they're gonna get rid of McCollum in New Orleans?
No, you keep him.
So he's just gonna move to the 2.
You either move him to the 2 or put him on the bench. I mean, he would be an excellent 6-man.
And then what? Do you keep Ingram still, or is Ingram gone and Ingram moves to fill out your hole at center now that Valanciunas left to go sign with Washington?
That's the real question. Who is their center? Because right now they just don't. They have one center on their roster, and he's 20 years old and have Yves Missi. I can't even pronounce his name.
Oh, that's the rookie that they drafted.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That's their only listed center right now. You don't want to. I've heard people say they're just going to put Zion at center. I don't really like that
No,
idea
he's too small.
at all.
Short.
Yeah, I mean, he's a
Too
great
small.
rebounder at the 4, but at the 5, he's just gonna, and you don't want that wear and tear
So
on
you
you.
think Ingram's on the move then?
I don't know because I feel like by this point he would have been traded already if they were going to trade him. And where is he gonna go?
But I also feel
Right.
like if this team is fully healthy, that's a really good team. Especially like you can throw almost any center in there as long as they're, serviceable. And this team is going to be one of the more stacked
The
teams.
team
I'm
has to
sure
stay
there's-
healthy though. They have to stay
That's a
healthy.
big challenge for them. But if they're able to, then no question they're one of the better teams in the league. I would think
I
at least.
agree. I agree.
I'm
And-
sure there's some sort of free agent center somewhere, right?
Yeah, there has to be.
My last
Well,
question.
they also signed
Oh,
Daniel
Bismack
Tice, who's
Biyombo.
like-
There you go. Bismack
Yeah.
Biyombo. Plug him in.
They signed Daniel Tice, who was a pretty decent player for the Celtics a few years ago.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you guys with this question too. Since DeJounte Murray was traded for 2 first-round picks, how much does Lauri Markkanen go for?
Oh, Utah's not trading him.
I'm
Utah-
just saying, in a world where he gets moved, how much does he move for?
I think minimum 4 picks and a player.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right. I mean,
Honestly, I think the Sixers have enough to trade for him, but I just don't think they will.
I hope they
that would
do.
be a good fit for you guys. I feel like.
Yeah, I
It would
don't
be a
honestly-
great fit, but
honestly,
I don't know what player to give up. So
As a
And, I
Sixers
mean-
fan, I do not want to get rid of those Clippers picks. Those Clippers picks could be top 10. They're unprotected, and they're in, I think, 2028. The Clippers could be
Mhm.
awful by then. Like, the Clippers are probably going to miss the playoffs this year. I mean, maybe. We'll see. They have a good
Yeah.
coach, but James, when you have what? You just have, apparently Russell Westbrook might get traded. James Harden, Kawhi. If Kawhi gets hurt, that team's just, like, what do they have?
Yeah, but those two alone can do something on their own. Honestly.
Oh, yeah.
If you can build a team around them, they'll be nice.
Yeah, but how are they
moving
gonna stay
on,
healthy? That's the question.
since we got 2 last names on here, I'll save the one that we were all thinking of for last, and I'll touch base on the other one. Klay Thompson's reign in Golden State is officially over, and it brought tears to my eyes. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a Golden State fan whatsoever, but like Klay Thompson in Golden State was something I would have seen till the end of his career.
Well, let's let Gabe talk about it.
I hate him. Like I don't think he's good. You ever notice that he goes whenever somebody starts talking to him, he goes 4 rings because he doesn't have anything else to show. He scored a lot of points in the quarter. That's very nice, right? It was a long time ago now, I feel like, right? He had that 160-point game off of like 5 dribbles. I wonder why he only took 5 dribbles. Probably because he had the best point guard of all time passing to him, right? But he has nothing else to prove, right? You got to remember that TJ Warren had a 50-point game, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
in the bubble.
Right?
Thanks for
Like-
bringing it up.
And is it easy to score 50+ points in the NBA? Absolutely not. But when you have an excellent point guard on your team, then it makes it a lot easier than not having one.
Yeah.
I think Klay Thompson, it's his time to go, right? He hasn't been benefiting the Warriors at all. He went 0 of 10 in an elimination game, right? I know you see those comments everywhere on Instagram, but just be reminded again, he's not the clutch player that everybody thinks he is.
I'm not
time to go.
disagreeing with you, but we all know that the Warriors are a very loyal corporation, and then when you're trading, or not trading, when you're letting go of, a guy who's done so much for you, it's
course,
yeah.
something, man.
It is a weird twist of fate that they would give Draymond Green, who I also think is slightly washed, that contract extension and not Clay. Because at this point, if you're the Warriors, like, if I'm the Warriors, I just give him the contract and accept the fact that he's just not worth it. But he's a legend. He brought us 4 championships. Like,
But
we
you
can
gotta-
Exactly.
we can go a
Stephen
few
Curry is
years
still
without
Stephen
competing.
Curry. I think you still have to try to build around him.
I
Draymond
get
Green
that.
is, I think he's washed too, but it's a locker room presence that makes you want to re-sign him and retain him, even if it's a lot of money. Klay Thompson doesn't provide much anymore at all, right?
I'm gonna be honest. I think it's a horrible move for the Mavericks. Like, why are you getting rid of Josh Green, who is one of the best bench players in the entire playoffs? Derrick Jones Jr. Because you spend that money on Klay Thompson, Derrick Jones Jr. then goes to the
I would have
Clippers.
100% kept Derrick Jones Jr. if I
But
was
they
the
didn't have the
Mavs.
money because they spent it on Klay Thompson. Quentin Grimes, I think, is a great addition. Najee Marshall, I think, is kind of the Derrick Jones Jr. replacement. Is he going to be able to be that kind of level of player in the playoffs? Who knows? I mean, I don't think people expected Derrick Jones to play as good as he did, because before this season he was just known as a guy that could dunk. But yeah,
Right,
My
so
question
we'll see.
though is, does Klay Thompson's name alone immediately make him a starter?
I mean,
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
with
Because
the
I
money
feel like
they
he
gave,
probably will start. I don't know
I
if he
think with the
should.
money they gave him,
he's gonna
he
start
has
at
to
the
start.
3.
Either him or Luke is going to start the 3, which brings to a point that I was saying. Like, I think it was interesting that I thought the Mavericks might target a big man going into free agency because I feel like they're really missing that 3. I think Luka and Clay could play the 3 or the 4, but I think that's what they're missing, the 3 or the 4.
I just think that Derek Lively is just going to pop off this season because the end of last season he was starting to cook, and Derek Lively is a great two-way player. He came
Agreed.
into the league. He came into the league automatically as a really good defensive center and who could dunk. If he develops anything other than a dunk offensively, he's going to be a great player.
I really like Gafford too.
Daniel Gafford is the opposite. He is a bad defensive player, but he has great post moves. He's a really good offensive player. So, yeah, and you still have PJ Washington, who had his up and downs, but
We know what he brings to the table.
The
He's a good
real
role player.
question is this team. How is this team going to defend anybody? Because Kyrie, Luka, and Clay are just not very good defensive players.
I
Now,
feel like
Luka,
Kyrie's developed his defensive game a lot, though.
Luka-
Especially in
Luka-
Brooklyn, he was honestly one of the better defensive players on the floor most of the time.
Luka
I
and
feel like.
Kyrie have shown to me that they can be okay defensive players, but I feel like on a championship team, you can't have 3 guys that are just okay to below average on defense. So that's going to be a
Fair.
question. I think when you get to playoff time, you might see Klay Thompson coming off the bench and a guy like Quentin Grimes or Najee Marshall moving into that starting role just because of the defense that they bring. But I mean, that's a long way away. But this Dallas team is definitely going to be in the playoffs again, competing. I mean, if you have Luka on your team, and this is what I was saying about alpha players. Obviously, Cade Cunningham is no Luka, but Luka carried his team in the playoffs to the playoffs before they even had
Agreed.
Kyrie. So Luka is just not going to miss the playoffs.
That was
if he
Luka
stays
and
healthy, so.
Porzingis days. Wow.
Yeah.
And
Luka
Dinwiddie,
and
don't forget
Christian
about
Wood
Spence.
days.
Christian Wood, prime Christian Wood, yeah.
Christian Wood, man.
Yeah.
Christian Wood on the Rockets was something. I
That was
really enjoyed
such a
him.
random. He had such a random
Fall
2
off.
good seasons, and now he's just not good. But
Anyway.
anyway,
It's unfortunate. Time for the final signing.
I wonder. Wait, I have no idea what player you're gonna talk about next.
Me and Ben spoke about this a good
I
amount.
think it's about Andre
And
Drummond, maybe.
Me and
Drummond Sixers.
Ben
Big
both
Drum.
kind of have the same thoughts on this signing. But of course, everyone that knows me well knows I'm practically up very late during the night on PlayStation or doing this or
Usually I
doing
am
that.
too, but it wasn't that night. I was not for some reason.
And it's a Paul George 8 thing to sign at 3:00 in the morning, which is what he done on the Clippers also.
Yeah, Paul George.
So he signed a 4-year, $212 million deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. And I've always been a Paul George guy. I've always liked Paul George. I've never had any hate towards him, never had any issue with him. My only thing is, though, when you keep getting hurt and you go into an elimination game last year and you drop 15 points, it's not what I want to see, man. And I didn't want a 4-year deal. I wanted something small, like a 2-year deal, so that we could help fill out the rest of the roster as much as possible. And don't get me wrong, which we will talk about right after Paul George, I do think that they filled out a pretty good amount of the roster. But is this really the guy that's going to get you over the hump in the second round past Boston? For me, I just got to wait and see how it plays out. But I want to know everybody else's thoughts on this because obviously it's the biggest signing and it's just questionable to me.
I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and my opinions have, I wouldn't say changed, but they've fluctuated to where
As the biasy got into you.
You had to sign him to a 4-year deal if you're looking at it, right? if you sign him to a 2-year deal, he's just going to go back to the Clippers. The reason he left is because he
He
wanted
didn't want to
to.
go to the Clippers though. He
Well,
came out with
here's
a
what he
statement saying that they
here.
didn't offer him the money.
And he felt
No,
disrespected as
here's
well.
what happened. I listened to his podcast today. He said at first he wanted the Kawhi deal. Then they refused it. Then in the offseason, they offered it, but he realized he had options. So he's like, okay, give me the Kawhi deal, but give me a no trade clause. They refused that. So then he was like, okay, I'm leaving because Philly's going to offer me this 4-year max. I don't think the Clippers thought that anybody was going to offer him the 4-year max. So they got blindsided by that, which I don't really know why. Because here's the Sixers perspective, right? You have Joel Embiid, who probably has 2 good years left, maybe 3. You know his injury history. The Sixers had to bring in a star this offseason, whether it's through trade or signing. They had been building up the roster just so they could have everybody, no signed players except Joel Embiid to have the roster flexibility to sign another max player. So it was kind of like from both sides, this move just had to happen. Whether or not I like Paul George as a player, it was going to happen no matter what. Obviously, if OG left, then maybe OG comes in there. But
do you think that part of this deal was the fact that they thought, okay, we're getting a really good wing, we're getting a dude who could play defense, and we're also just paying him mainly for his first 2 years?
yes, I think this is a common thing that you see. A good comparison that I saw, which I really liked, is a baseball contract. They sign these guys to 15-year deals, knowing that the last third of the contract they're going to be trash, but they're paying them for the first 10 years. So you got to look at it that way. The last 2 years, everybody knows that Paul George is going to fall off in 2 years. The question is, can you get a healthy 2 years, and can you at least make the conference finals? Obviously, you want to win a championship, but this next year, it's conference finals or bust for the Sixers. At least they have to make the conference finals. And I think with this roster that you have, you're at worst the third best team in the conference. At worst, in my opinion, they're second. I think they're ahead of New York. Obviously, I just don't rate Jalen Brunson as highly as some people. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's a great player. But you look at it, Jalen Brunson is probably in a series between the Sixers and the Knicks. Jalen Brunson is the third best player, in my opinion.
Behind Maxey?
I think either Paul George or Maxey. One of those two guys is just better than. Okay. And you look at Paul George if you're just basing it off last season of Paul George, this guy played 76 games. He was at an all NBA level. I don't think he made an all NBA team. I'm not 100% sure. But he played at an all NBA level for large parts of the season. Obviously in the playoffs, it's the playoffs, but you have to think about the fact that could be a Clippers factor. You look at him in the playoffs for Indiana, he was excellent. For OKC, he was excellent. So is that a Clippers effect? Who knows? I mean, the Clippers are kind of an interesting franchise. I don't want to trash the Clippers other than their new logo. Their new logo is absolutely a disgrace to basketball.
I like their new logo.
It'll grow on you. It's with every single
new logo. I like it.
It changes their logo every 5 years either way. It doesn't matter.
I'm sorry, but that's not going to grow on me. That has nothing to do with the it's all so right. Ugly.
All right.
Real quick.
You can save that for later. I want to give Gabe and Jake the floor for this. So as non-Sixers fans.
With all due respect to Paul George, right? You're talking about somebody that averaged great stats last year. Nike discontinued his sneaker line, right? He had a signature sneaker. He's still in the NBA. He's still one of the best players on his team. They were discontinued by Nike, right? That doesn't happen to star players. That almost never happens, right? And not to say that he's a bad guy. I mean, yeah, sales have a massive impact in that. Whatever, right? Throw that to the side for a second. I think the Sixers had the player in James Harden, honestly. That's my opinion, is that they had the amazing facilitator. Obviously, we know the guy can score. I think they might have gotten him a year or two too late. But I think that they had the guy. I think if you kept James Harden, there's a chance you can make a much bigger run in the East. But I mean, this is where we're at now. I agree. This was gonna have to happen.
Jake,
it was a lot of money, but you had no other choice. My only other option, I think there should have been more. You should have pursued Donovan Mitchell a lot more. I think he probably would have been maybe not the next James Harden, but he would have been similar in that sense that I mean, maybe he's a lot faster. He can score almost at that level, right? I think he would have been that player, but it is what it is. This was going to have to happen, I think.
Jake, the floor is yours.
I'm looking at it through like a bit of a positive perspective. I mean, first of all, don't want to get into it too much, but I do have Jalen Brunson over Paul George. But I want to say, look at it this way, and with the like the Sixers, like their moves over the past couple years, like Tobias Harris or Paul George, who's better?
Paul George.
Exactly. So I think no matter what, I mean, the Sixers, made questionable moves over the last couple seasons and with that and stuff. But at the end of the day, he's better than Tobias Harris. And I think that's just what the Sixers needed, because it was either you give Tobias Harris another good, high deal, or you bring in someone that is obviously better than him.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think the other piece of the puzzle you have to talk about is Caleb Martin. Because Caleb Martin.
Wait. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're getting there.
I'm sorry.
I got two last points before we get to that.
Okay, go ahead.
First things first. It don't matter if you're a legend, if you're a coach, whoever you are, you're not allowed to wear socks in Paul George's house. If you know, you know.
I don't know.
Like,
Nobody knows.
I
No
don't know
one
at
knows?
all.
Okay. There was a
Nobody's gonna find
picture.
out.
There was a signing picture of Paul George, and he had a few other people in his house. And if Daryl Morey has the blue navy plaid jacket on, then it's supposed to be a big deal. And it's a picture of him, Elton Brand, all the way in the back, trying to be like, "Yeah, guys, I still work here." Like, bro, no one likes you. Paul George, Josh Harris, and then there was like one other person. It was Dr. J, and they all have their socks on. They're not allowed to wear shoes in Paul George's house. Is his whole thing, as he's wearing an Allen Iverson shirt, which I thought was really funny. Two other things. He's wearing number 8 for the Sixers because he said, and I quote, "I want to idolize Kobe," which is very nice of him.
Known Sixers legend Kobe Bryant.
And before we touch
13
base
is
on the
retired
other,
from Philadelphia.
before I want to touch base on some of the other stuff before we go to our fan player of the week, I want to say this. And I don't want anybody to give any thoughts on it. I want to leave it as a cliffhanger, and we can bring it back up next episode. I really wouldn't mind Ben Simmons have come back to the Sixers to play the 4. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. Leave it at that. No,
I
leave
think I
it
know
at
about
that.
19,000 other people that would fit inside Wells Fargo that would probably mind that. But I will say
Leave it
this
at
real
that.
quick. I completely forgot. You mentioned the Allen Iverson shirt, and I'm like, wait, Allen Iverson, what did I just see about him? Do you see the Sixers are probably bringing back the AI
Yes,
jerseys?
I did. Good
I did.
point.
was
Moving
so
on though
excited.
to the last quick stuff real quick. I'm not gonna lie, biasy is coming at me real quick, and I gotta say it. I think the Sixers had the best offseason. I mean, Caleb Martin, Drummond, you brought back Oubre, you signed Maxey to that long-term deal, you got Paul George. I mean, like, come on now.
I mean, I think
I love it.
I think getting Paul George automatically is going to put you in a top 5 offseason anytime you sign a player of that caliber.
Drummond, Caleb Martin's gonna start as your power forward now. He's the perfect guy to plug in there. Celtics killer. That is Celtics killer right there, bro. I love it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Knicks, the Sixers, who
OKC,
else?
OKC in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean,
I would say, arguably, we had a.
Say Orlando.
Did we
too.
have a
The
good
Mavericks.
offseason? No, but at least we know what direction we're going in. Now,
Guess
which is
what
better than we were
though?
last year.
Guess what though? People can make the case that DeJounte Murray's as good of a player as Mikal Bridges, and look at the two packages. Look at the package difference. So I would say that the Nets had a pretty good offseason
I
for
just
that
think-
alone.
Well, I'm not saying that what we got in return was good. I'm just saying that we got back our first rounders for the next couple of years from Houston. We got some first rounders from New York. We know
Mhm.
what direction we're headed in now. We're gonna lose, and I'm okay with that. At least we're not
you
gonna
think-
be mid to bad with no
Fair.
like prize for that.
Do you think
Fair.
Nick Claxton is going to be in net by the end of that contract? I
I
don't
hope
think
so.
he is.
He's really good. If we can figure out what we're doing, he's still very young. So if he develops with Drake
think he will
Whitehead,
be.
with I mean Cam
I
Johnson.
think
still
the
seems
only
solid.
guys
I'm
that
excited
are
to see Drake
locks is
Whitehead get
him.
minutes.
The only guys that are locks is him and Cam Thomas to me. So I think both of them are there.
Oh, Cam Thomas. I
don't
could
think he's
trade
a
him,
lock.
but
I think
like,
they could trade him.
He's solid.
I think they could trade
Moving
Thomas.
on though, because of time,
Yeah.
We're gonna do our players of the week. I'll go
Oh,
quick. I'll
there
start
you
because
go.
I haven't
I
started
got
in
a
a little
tangent to go
while.
on, so you go
No,
first.
don't be long because of time. We got to talk baseball. Come on, man. I'll start though. I saw a video right before we started this episode, and I picked Mr. Zero, Tyrese Maxey. Reasoning behind it, there was a whole video about him signing that long-term extension. And as I'm watching it and stuff, and I see him look at Joel Embiid and he goes, "Big fella, you were the first person to really like tell me that I could do this and that I could push through this and become the player that I am today. And I really appreciate you for it." And began to have tears come out of his eyes. That just hit me really, really hard. And it just goes to show how good of a player and how good of a guy he is. So that's specifically why I picked Tyrese Maxey. And everybody knows I'm a diehard Tyrese Maxey fan. I love the kid. So
Oh,
congrats to him on that deal. I'm very happy for him, and I hope he succeeds, man. And the other thing that he said too in that, before I forget, is he said, "I hope I don't let you down." He ain't gonna let nobody down. That kid's an animal.
yeah.
Who wants to go next though?
Let me go. First of all, number one, in response to what you're saying,
Go.
I don't know anybody in the NBA that dislikes Tyrese Maxey, and if you do, I do
Scotty
not
Barnes,
understand it.
because Scotty Barnes can't give him a hug.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
I think for the first time in the history of the podcast, I'm going with the same player of the week 2 weeks in a row. Greg Berhalter.
He's bad.
You got grouped. You lost to Panama. I don't care you had a red card. You got to at least draw that game. And that Uruguay, first of all, the Uruguay ref, whoever that guy is, he needs to
was
be
something
investigated. That was
else.
the worst officiated sporting event I've ever watched, and I've seen some bad ones. By far
Well,
the
hold
worst.
on. Tell him what else we know about that ref that you
Oh
sent
yeah,
me.
he's also been investigated for rigging games in the past.
Ooh.
So interesting how he became a ref the year he got investigated. The coincidence? I don't know.
Ooh.
Anyway, yeah, that's just conspiracy theory. Nothing there. But Greg Berhalter, a decision. This is according to USMNT. A decision is going to be made on what they're going to do with him this week. So, with that being said, later this week, maybe next week, I will be coming out with a video on my own channel. Maybe I'll post it in a comment on this video whenever it comes out.
Keep it.
Talking about the USMNT and their situation, so I don't have to go on a giant tangent on this podcast. So
Fair.
make sure to tune into that. I'm gonna
Definitely
edit it up
tune
a
into
bit.
that.
Gonna edit it up. Gonna cook. So
Who wants the floor next?
I'll definitely take it. So,
Okay, it's all you.
Chris, you spoiled my player of the pick in the beginning of this episode. I can't believe it. I was shocked that you said that. But you know me, I normally go home what I watch, New York stuff, Giants, Yankees, Knicks. But today I'm going.
He's a big WWE guy.
I'm also a big WWE guy. Went to WrestleMania.
Can I say one thing before you go off?
Ahead.
I'm gonna say this. Growing up, I wasn't a John Cena guy, and I'm gonna explain why real quick. And I put it in the past, and I decided that he's my GOAT. And I put it in the past and stuff because of, how much I began to like him again. But I will say this. One time, I was probably like 6, and I was there with one of my best friends and stuff. We were at LA Fitness because our moms used to go to the gym together and stuff, and we would hang out in like this little daycare room. John Cena was in LA Fitness that day. And me and my boy proceeded to yell John Cena as 2 6-year-olds. And John Cena ignored me, and I never felt more heartbroken in my life.
You sure it wasn't the guy dressed as John Cena?
No, it was the real John Cena.
There's no way.
I'm not kidding. It was the real John Cena, and I was never more upset in my life until, I started to put things in the past. I started getting back into WWE as of more recently because Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns. Everybody knows I grew up a Roman Reigns guy until he kept winning, and then I got tired of him. So yeah, I'm back on the same level with John Cena again. I really like John Cena, and I'm really upset about this.
But
wait, who?
Yo, don't you dare say who, bro.
But yes,
Your favorite wrestler is probably like, I don't know, Xavier Rhodes.
Xavier Woods.
Woods.
Ben's
My
been a
fault.
big
Nah,
Xavier
I haven't
my
watched
favorite
it in a little
CM
bit. I'm
dude,
sorry.
the GOAT CM Punk.
This is definitely Broda's play,
That's my
bro.
guy. CM Punk is
You
my
ain't
guy,
know
bro.
nothing about CM Punk. Go on, Jake.
That's
But
my
yeah,
guy.
my fan player of the week is John Cena. He came out. Money in the Bank was last Saturday as we were recording this, and he came out. It was in Toronto, which I found kind of weird because I feel like Toronto doesn't really have any meaning for Cena. He said that like the fans were the best, but that's because every foreign fan base is the best for WWE, and which is crazy. But yeah, he came out and he said that he's officially retiring by the end of
2025.
year 2025. Every single pay-per-view in 2025 will be his last, including the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and he does not intend on coming back at all after the year 2025.
I don't believe it.
I
That's
mean,
BS to me.
he seems pretty like in on that. So
That's BS to
John
me, bro.
Cena-
If The Undertaker came back 8 different times, Cena's coming back 20 different times.
John Cena, he is going on a farewell tour, and I'm excited.
I don't care
to
what
see
anybody
they have
says.
in
He's the
store.
GOAT. I don't care what
He
anybody says.
needs
He's
one
the
more
GOAT.
championship to have the most ever titles in WWE history, and I think they might give it to him.
And no, they're gonna give it to him, and he's gonna be the GOAT. I don't care what anybody says. You can say Ric Flair all you want. I'm picking John Cena.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right, Gabe, you're the last
All right.
one for Player of the Week.
Yep. Jake and Chris, I might lose you here for a second, but Ben's gonna know what I'm talking about here. My player of the week, Lewis Hamilton. Who
Yes,
else?
Lewis.
Now I know
It's
Lewis
been-
I know
Hamilton.
him.
Let's go.
Okay,
Lewis.
okay. I wasn't familiar with your game. All right, my
Yeah,
bad.
you want to? Yo, wait, you want to know something crazy? He's
Yeah.
that guy from Fortnite.
I thought you were
He's
gonna
the one
say
that
you saw him
drives
in LA
cars.
Fitness. Yeah, it's been 2.5 years since Lewis Hamilton got his last victory. He got it in front of the hometown fans in Silverstone this weekend. And fun fact about me is I actually started getting into F1 during his last win, which was Qatar 2021. I believe it was the second to last race of the season. That was the first ever F1 race that I watched. I had not seen a Lewis Hamilton win since that. He's my favorite driver. He's won a race every single year up until these last couple of years, and he has 104 wins. So it wasn't like he was winning one race every year. He was dominating F1 for a period of like 8 or 9 years or so. He has 7 World Drivers' Champions, gonna make it 8 with Ferrari next year. Honestly, that was one of the top moments I've ever seen on TV live, just because that was my favorite driver. First time I've ever seen him win, knowing like everything that's going on. So great moment for him this weekend. Hopefully plenty more of them in store at Ferrari next year, and maybe even more this season at Mercedes. That's what I got.
Fair. Moving on to our last segment. We're gonna go over the hour limit. I'm telling you guys, we're hitting like an hour 20 on this episode. Correct me if I'm wrong. Though. Obviously, the segment's about baseball. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. But the Yankees, they've been pretty bad.
They have been the worst team in June in the MLB. It's tough.
I'm pretty positive. I saw a post the other day that said they lost like 14 out of 18 games.
Yeah, I can go on a tangent real quick about
I would
that.
like you to.
So basically, our entire lineup besides Judge and Soto are awful. Stan got hurt, and ever since Stan got hurt, it's just been downhill from there. We did call up Ben Rice, though, who had a 3-home-run game. First ever rookie Yankee to have 3 home runs in one game. I love Ben Rice so much.
I
But-
love Ben.
Our bullpen is not there at all. I mean, Clay Holmes, as we're recording this, just blew a save, which was awful because he was like, it was him and in the back of the bullpen, him and Luke Weaver were the only relievers during the stretch that were reliable, and now we can't even rely on them. Our middle bullpen is just not there at all. Our rotation, Garrett Cole coming back from rehab.
Besides Luis Heel.
Luis Heel just had a good start. He was getting bombed. The last 3 starts before the one that he just pitched, he was getting absolutely bombed. 16 earned runs in 3 starts is nuts. Absolutely insane. Our rotation has not been there, but I'm hoping that we bounce back. At the trade deadline, we need a reliever and we need a third baseman because
Not Mason Miller, though. He ain't coming.
I'm hoping for anything at this point. DJ LeMahieu needs to go. He's old. He's washed. He only has 2 extra base hits on the year.
That's
Absolutely
crazy,
awful.
by the way. 2 extra base hits is
He had
insane.
0 through like 30 games.
That's insane.
It was nuts. And
Would
final.
you rather have him or Martin Maldonado at just
Oh
like
my
as a
God,
player
okay.
wise?
No thanks. But the last thing about this tangent, our catching as well. We need to start Austin Wells. Jose Trevino, I love him. He's a great framer.
He was an all-star at one point.
He was. The only problem with him is that he can't throw out runners. The Boston Red Sox broke the record for most stolen bases in a game with 9 because Jose Trevino does not have an arm. So,
why did I not even hear about this?
I have no clue, but it's just been awful to watch as a Yankees fan right now. We're doing the exact same thing that we did in 2022 where we looked like the best team to start out the year, and then we just went downhill from there. I'm hoping that's not the case, but oh my God, we need to do something.
At least you're not a Mets fan.
True.
The only good
Bro,
thing,
I'm trying to find Grimace right now. I don't know where he went.
He left. He lost.
the only good thing I can say is that you guys are only 3 games back, even though you've been horrible.
Luckily,
So
the Orioles have been on a sort of slide at the same time as the Yankees, but nobody's as bad as the
Yeah.
Yankees right now.
I will say though, on the Phillies side of things, I am very
Wait.
nervous. I'm very nervous because the Mets blew a 10-game lead. They had a 10-game lead in the division like 5 years ago. They blew it to the Braves.
I know.
We're 8 games up right now, and we just lost a series to the Braves. Now, obviously, we're without 3 of our best players, but still,
Can I say
I'm
something about that?
I'm
real
just a
quick?
nervous Phillies fan. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm gonna
with you.
say this real quick, and Jake's gonna hate me for this. Adam Duvall, I hate you. Go back to Boston, bro. Like I hate you. Go back to Boston. Go
That
torture
guy
Jake.
only-
He's
that
He
guy
not-
only
only
plays-
does good against the Phillies and the Yankees,
No.
bro. Go back to Boston.
No, I don't
I'm
want to.
tired of
You keep him.
You're old. Retire at this point. Me and Jake both don't want to
Jake-
see you in this league.
He needs Acuna. Acuna's gone. He needs to be there.
No, I'm tired of him, bro. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
He's so
Well.
annoying. On the as Ben brought up though, on the Philly side of things, unfortunately Jake has to go through that. Like I said, at least you're not a Mets fan. But the Phillies have
We got
a
an
new
all-star.
record
Everybody.
in
gets
their if none of you guys heard, the Phillies have a new record in their clubhouse for all-stars in a season with 7.
I'm surprised Jeff Hoffman
We
made
have
it.
Jeff Hoffman's been our best reliever. It's crazy.
I'm surprised he's in there.
You just
Shout out
made me
to
get
Jeff.
up. You just made me get up. You asked for it.
Jeff Hoffman's Chris's best friend.
You asked for it.
All right. So we going through the All Stars now?
No, give me 1 minute. Yeah, go for it.
Him and
Well, wait.
Matt
Hold on.
He's looking for something.
Sign ball.
Jeff Hoffman.
Before we start the All Stars real quick, I just want to go I've been going on so many tangents with baseball, but I'm so glad. I'm sorry to you guys, but Kyle Schwarber not being an All Star, he should have not been over Ozuna or Otani.
Oh, I
I
agree.
hate Ozuna. I hate Ozuna.
I hate
but,
Ozuna, but I
he
also
deserved
agree.
it so much
Yo,
more over
but,
Schwarber. The
like,
fact that
we
Marsh
got-
and Castellanos were that close to making the All Star game was
Dude,
infuriating me.
Cassie, I'm not gonna lie, Cassie has been really good the last month. He's been
Agreed.
hitting over 300 the
He's
last
been
month.
great, but again, not also. He
What I will say though is, it like I said, back to that point though, it's kind of nuts that we have Strom. For the people who don't know, Strom, Hoffman, Wheeler, Ranger, Harper, and Turner,
Bohm.
right? And
And Bohm.
boom. Yeah, dude, that's kind of nuts,
He just
man.
declared for the home run derby. Not happy about that either.
He's gonna
Why
get cooked, I'm
you
not
don't
gonna
like
lie.
Bohm in the home run derby?
He's not a power hitter. He's gonna get eliminated first round.
Dude, he has the most doubles in baseball. He can hit for power.
Yeah.
He just
All right,
He'll
let me
get,
ask
but
you
he's not a
this.
home run hitter.
Let me ask you this: would you rather see Bohm, someone new in the home run derby, or would you rather see Pete Alonso for the 4th year?
I'd rather
Yeah,
see
let's
Gunnar
go.
Henderson, Bobby Witt, which is going to be a crazy matchup.
Well, of course, but you don't want to see Bohm, bro, over Pete Alonso. Are you not tired
Yep.
of Pete Alonso? I am.
Chris, you gotta
That's
get to
what
these
I'm
All Stars,
bro.
bro. Your time's running
Pete
down.
Alonso literally meditates during the home run derby, bro. This dude cares about nothing else but the home run derby. Go somewhere, bro. Touch
Go
grass.
work on your actual hitting because it's not very
Yeah,
good.
go
Like-
work on your actual hitting, man. You suck.
Gabe, at this point, do you hope that the Mets sell or buy?
They should sell. If they're smart, they would sell. But guess what? They're gonna buy because they think they're a playoff team.
Yeah, at this point we should just sell. I mean, if you asked me a couple weeks ago or last week, whenever we were in the middle of that crazy
Whenever
Grimace
Grimace-
run,
Yeah.
yeah,
June.
I mean, I was kind of a little torn, but I mean, I don't think.
Dude, Gabe would have went off. He would have been
I'm
like,
just-
bro, but like
I'm a little confused,
Alvarez,
though.
Brett Beatty, Nemo, like, oh
Brett
my
Beatty,
god.
Brett Beatty, no.
Am I tripping, or should Lindor or Nimmo should have been an all-star over?
Bro, what do you
Pete
want it to?
Alonso.
What do you want it to be
We'll
called?
get to it. We'll get
Yo,
to it. We'll get
wait,
to
what
it.
do you
We'll
want it to be called? The average star game?
No,
Like,
but I mean over
They deserve
over
it.
Alonso. I'm saying.
They
Oh,
deserve it.
100%. Well, let's
over
let's go through
Alonso.
this.
Yeah,
Let's
but,
go
like,
through this.
They're not that good.
All right. Are we gonna do American League position players first?
We already went over the actual like winners of the All-Star game. So if you guys,
Oh,
want
yeah,
to
we
do
did, we did.
reserves-
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll hit you with this. Who's gonna win this year, the AL or the NL?
Oh, AL easily.
AL usually wins as well.
The Phillies.
They
are the AL, you
usually
mean?
do win, but we won last year because of Elias Diaz, baby.
True.
Dog.
Hey,
Talk about a
Stan won
monster.
MVP 2 years ago though, so that was pretty
You
nice.
said who?
Stan.
Yeah. That did happen, unfortunately. You guys really think the AL is gonna win again?
Yeah.
Why?
They're better.
Because they're playing the Phillies. They're not playing an all-star team.
What are you talking
Yeah.
about, bro?
What do you mean? What am I talking about? I see
What
that
do you-
entire. I just see PHI.
We have
PHI.
Shohei Ohtani on this team.
Okay, so you got the Phillies plus Shohei Ohtani. Okay, my bad.
No,
I mean,
plus Tatis,
realistically-
Mr. PEDs. He's probably gonna take some in the
Realistically,
back and then
the
he'll
only-
bomb.
The only player that's better on the National League compared to the American League is Ohtani at DH, Harper at first base,
Who's not gonna
And-
play probably.
and probably Marte at second. That's probably the only.
Who's the second
honest,
base
though,
for the AL? Wait, who's second
Altuve.
base for AL?
Altuve.
Oh, I agree with you
It
100%.
doesn't even matter who wins now though, because
No.
it doesn't do
It's
the
just a
World
fun game
Series
now.
stuff anymore, which I thought
Me
that
and
was.
Jake are so biased, bro. It's unbelievable.
Well, Marte I think is better anyway. Usually I'm not that biased, but Marte.
Can
is
I be
better
honest
player.
with you though? I hate both Marte and Altuve, so they could both just go somewhere. I'm tired of both of
All right.
them.
So
But,
we're going through the reserves.
You want to know what I will
Mhm.
say though? You know what makes me mad? I'm not gonna lie. Christian Walker should have easily been an
He
all-star.
should have.
And we'll
That's-
get to that.
that's
We'll
so
get to, we gotta,
snubbed.
Chris, we got to actually say the All Stars and we can talk about that. Because I
Dude, it's snubbed. It's snubbed. It's so obvious. Look at his stats. This dude has so much better stats than some of these people that got picked somehow, bro. This is literally the Mauro Maldonado where they're
Okay.
trying to vote him in. Like, this is literally what they're doing.
We'll start with
So
the
stupid, man.
National League reserves. I'm just gonna say them and then we can say our opinions. Okay. C.J. Abrams, Pete Alonso, Luis Arias, worst All Star pick.
Yep.
Anyway, Mookie Betts, Ellie, also a bad pick. Freddie
Yo,
Freeman
shush,
and Ryan.
shush,
Over
shush,
100 strikeouts.
shush,
Over 100
shush,
strikeouts already. Just saying.
shush.
I was just saying that to get Chris mad. I actually think Ellie probably deserved it, but
Out of everyone on the Reds, yes, he did.
yeah,
Thank you.
Ryan Helsley.
Every
know.
team gets an all-star, bro. Of course.
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
But Luis Arias, the fact that San Diego has as many All Stars as they do makes no sense. Number one. Number two, Luis Arias, if you look at his offensive statistics, other than average, he's not a great second.
only like
base.
a
you said,
700
yeah,
OPS
you did say Ryan McMahon, correct?
Yes, he made
He's
it.
been good
deservedly.
this
I love
year.
him
He's
and
been
CJ
good
Abrams.
this year.
Love both of them. I actually
CJ
voted both
Abrams
them-
has been good, man.
I voted both of them to be in the All Star game, and I love that they're there.
Yeah.
He's been good, man. I don't think Pete Alonso should be there, but like,
Yeah, Luis Arias, there's just no.
Give me
choice.
one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, every team gets an All Star, but it's like
yeah, that's why.
Lindor and Nim, I agree with you, Gabe, should be over Pete Alonso in this situation.
Yeah.
If anything, both of them should be in, and they should replace Luis Arias.
Yeah, they should.
But yeah, I mean, they had to get the numbers, so I guess it's okay. Like, I'm not gonna complain when you only get like 2 people wrong. There's been years where they get like 6.
Mhm.
So
And the starters this year are pretty good, so there's not really
Yeah.
anything you can go
Yeah.
about that. Do you want to go to National League pitchers now?
Go for it.
yeah, go ahead. Do you want me to read them off?
Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it. Go for it.
So I'm just gonna go in the order they have on here. So there's starters and relievers mixed in here. Tyler Glass now. By the way, his first All-Star appearance. Did not realize that's kind of
yeah, that's
insane.
crazy.
Ryan Helsley.
He's always been like semi all-star though.
Well, he's
Yeah,
also always
But go
been
on.
hurt, though. He's never finished like a full.
He's
season.
always hurt. Jeff Hoffman, Shota Imanaga, which is
Mhm.
interesting. Ronaldo Lopez, Chris Sale, Tanner Scott, Paul Skeens, Matt Strom, Ranger, Suarez, Robert Suarez, Logan Webb, and Zach Wheeler. If the MLB does not let Paul Skeens start this game, it's a disgrace to baseball. He better
I
start.
100% agree.
I also
I
agree.
100% agree on this.
Paul Skeens is
One thing
arguably
the
the best pitcher in
Pirates are
baseball.
good at is getting pitchers, like drafting
Paul-
pitchers.
Paul Skeens is going to be up there for the Cy Young. He's not going to win it because they brought him up too late, but he could be one of the very few players to win Rookie of the Year and Cy Young in the same season.
It won't
I believe
happen, but
A lot of
Yeah.
people are hating on Skeens just because he hasn't played that much in the league. He has 10 starts on the season, but at the same time, in those 10 starts,
You
he's
just
been
have to watch.
absolutely incredible. He's been
just
absolutely
have to-
incredible, and I
he's
saw a
had one
comment-
bad start. He's had
Yeah,
one bad
and
start.
I saw a comment. That was against the Dodgers, right? The bad start.
I think so.
I saw a comment on a post about Paul Skeens making it to the All-Star game, and it said, if MLB wants to bring in as much eyes as possible, you would bring in like the most famous star caliber player to start the All-Star game, and it's Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
And
no,
I agree.
I mean,
I agree with that.
How does that
Yeah.
work with Cy Young voting? Like, he qualifies? He was called up early enough.
he'll qualify.
He'd
Yeah.
qualify, yeah.
He'll qualify because of enough games
Yeah.
played.
He'll get enough innings pitched. He goes like 7 innings every single game.
Yeah. I don't know what the innings qualification is. It's probably like 120 or something like that.
I
That
would
makes sense.
assume. I would assume.
Well, no, because it has to be less than that because relievers have won it. I think it's probably just games played.
Moving on though, Ben, hit us with the AL pitchers.
Yes, the AL pitchers. We got Tyler Anderson from the
Which is
Anaheim.
interesting because he had a down year last year,
I agree with
but
that.
he
though.
was really good on the Yankees.
Yeah,
I mean, not
he's
the
the only-
Yankees, the Dodgers.
Corbin Burns, Emmanuel Clase, Garrett Crochet, Logan Gilbert, Clay Holmes,
Yep.
why? Tanner Houck, Seth Lugo, Mason Miller, Cole Reagans, Tariq Skubal, and Kirby Yates for some reason.
You want to know something?
Yates
You want
really
to? You want me
He's
to
been
hit you
good,
with a
but there's better
flashback?
relievers in my
You
opinion.
want me to hit
but
you with a
anyway.
flashback? That Tyler Anderson first All-Star appearance was the same year where Tony Gonsolin went nuts on the Dodgers.
Oh, I love Tony Gonsolin.
That was a wild year, bro. Their rotation was nasty that
was.
year. They had Arias before he did some stupid stuff, and they had Kershaw going crazy still. Like that
And
was
was that healthy
sick.
Walker Buehler too?
They had Dustin May also. Yeah, that was no Walker was hurt. They had Dustin May that was healthy
Yeah.
that year, where he was starting to come up a little bit. So that was crazy. But I mean,
So-
the pitchers aren't bad. They're not bad.
Yeah, I want to say, does Clay Holmes deserve it though? Because I feel like he's been solid, but
He's-
Beginning of the year, I'm saying yes.
Yes, beginning of the
1000%.
year, he had a 0 ERA through the first like 15 games he pitched, which was nuts. He didn't give up a run at all. And then lately, like he just blew a save. But he's been good and all-star caliber compared to all the other closers in the
I'm gonna
AL.
put it to
probably
you this way, Ben. I'm gonna put it to you this way. Clay Holmes being selected as an all-star reminds me of Craig Kimbrell on the Phillies.
that's a crazy
It
comparison.
is.
I don't think so.
I think Clay Holmes can actually save games in the playoffs, but
He's got to get there first.
yeah. And then moving on, lastly, American League infielders to wrap things up. We got Carlos Correa, who's been low-key really good, but people don't know about it. Rafael Devers, obviously. Josh Naylor also deserves it. Isaac Paredes doesn't deserve it, but Tampa Bay needed somebody. Marcus Semien also doesn't deserve it. Makes no sense.
yeah,
to me.
don't hate on
okay,
Semien. Don't hate on Semien.
Best fielder in the entire MLB. That's what he is.
He's not the best fielder.
He is.
I agree
above
with Jake.
average, he is.
I agree with Jake.
Yeah, but you can't be.
100%.
I'm sorry, you just can't be the best fielder in the league and play second base. If he was the best fielder in the league, he'd be a shortstop.
I mean, stats say that he's the best in the league.
I
Yeah,
would
but
agree with Jake.
Second base is
100%.
also like, in my
It's
opinion.
true. Second base is like the poor man shortstop.
Did they have
yeah.
any other all-star though on the Rangers besides him?
Yeah, they had Kirby Yates. They had
Because did Seager make it? No, Seager didn't make it.
No.
they had do they have anybody starting? No. So
No.
yeah, they had and
Kirby
Cole Reagans. Cole Reagans also made it.
Cole Reagans. He's with the Royals.
He's with the Royals, yeah.
and Bobby Witt Jr. as well. You didn't say Bobby Witt Jr.
Yes. Oh, I forgot did Cole Reagans used to be on Texas, or am I just like making this stuff
No,
up?
he was always with
I
KC.
mean,
Yeah.
it's so crazy to me though that the way this year is working, that a team I'm pretty sure the Rangers are under 500, right?
They
Am I
are.
wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, a team 6 games under 500 has multiple All-Stars. I'm sorry, that just doesn't make any sense.
I'm gonna
in
put
my
it to you this way. I think on paper the AL roster is better, but I think the NL is gonna win this year too.
Yeah, I honestly think it's a big toss-up. These rosters, there's going to be guys added. Zach Wheeler is already basically said he's not going to pitch. So
Mookie
guys like
Betts is
that,
going to be still injured, so they're going to have to replace him.
yeah, I think you could
Mhm.
see, some guys that are questionable. I think you could see Bryson Stott make it out there, honestly. Guys like that. I think Lindor probably makes it out there. He's probably the first guy off the list, in my opinion. So you'll see guys make it out there that weren't there. You're going to see guys not pitch, guys that start either right before or start right after. They're not going to pitch. So we'll see, but I'm excited to watch. I think the home run derby is kind of falling down really fast. I need to get some more stars playing in that, but
I
I'm
think
gonna
this year's
leave
going to be
us.
better than last year.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave us on a note, a little note to a little cliffhanger, similar to like the Ben Simmons thing. I'm gonna leave us on a cliffhanger for the
That's
end
not
of
a
this
cliffhanger.
episode.
Wait. Before you do that, who, as the American League, because as the NL, we want Paul Skeens to start. As the AL, who do you want to start?
Honestly, I'm not as passionate one way or the other. I mean, it would be
I don't
fun
know.
to see Mason Miller start. He's not going to start because he's not a starter.
I think it's going to be Tariq Skubal.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think Corbin Burns or Tariq Skubal. Also, shout out to my preseason pick, Logan Gilbert, Cy Young. He actually has a chance to win.
He's on my
and
fantasy team, and he's nuts.
And that was a crazy call out, and you guys call me crazy, but he's a really good pitcher. Anyway,
all right, leaving a. All right, I want to leave one note, and then I'm gonna leave the cliffhanger. One quick note: Tatum did not deserve that contract. You're not better than 5 players, the top 5 in the NBA. Moving on. We can get into that next episode. That's just stupid to pay a guy $70 million, but whatever. Cliffhanger. You can come back. All three. You can come back and shoot me a nice text when the Phillies trade for Cody Bellinger. That'll be it though for today's show. So stay hyped, stay hungry, keep the frenzy alive. We'll see you on the next one.